Hello everyone, I am Reiki Master Sharon, and today I just wanted to do a collective reading for you all today because I got a pretty heavy download that I feel there's a message that at least one of you needs to hear. So I'm here to do my best to share it. So please be patient with me as I am channeling these messages for you because they are very deep and they are very complex, and there's a lot of different dynamics that go into them, and it's anyway, this reading may be triggering. If you're not feeling like being triggered today, I would highly suggest not watching this video today. So with that being said, we are going to go into our reading. So this is what came out for us as I was preparing the decks. And what I'm getting from this judgment card is a lot of times people say that this is like Archangel Gabriel blowing the horn to, like, awaken the masses, right? This is judgment. This is someone coming to a crossroads of decisions where they know that they're starting to see a pattern of things that they may have been doing in their life that was kind of self-sabotage is the best way that I can put it. But they're starting to become aware of the fact that they can choose to move in another direction and end that cycle of self-sabotage within that dynamic. But for those of you that are here and are resonating as twin flames, as you know, it can be a very triggering relationship. You have an incarnation of your soul that is basically this mirror that just stands in front of you and amplifies all of your best attributes and all of your deepest wounds. And that can be a lot to take in. It can be a lot to kind of mull over. And it does cause people to run away. That's why in twin flame relationships you'll see dynamics of a runner and a chaser. Obviously, on a spiritual level, you guys are always in union, but in the physical realm, you might not always be speaking to your twin or seeing your twin, because when you are in that close proximity and you are speaking with that person, it does bring up a lot of things to light for healing, and that can cause sloth. Now, in my last video for the twin flames, I was speaking about the concept of how narcissistic abuse can affect someone in a relationship in these codependent dynamics, which I believe that, the codependent dynamics, they run deep in our collective consciousness. Whether you're a twin flame or not, you will probably have run into some form of these dynamics in work relationships, romantic relationships, parental relationships, and it can cause a lot of childhood wounding. So that's what I'm seeing from the Nine of Wands in reverse. It's kind of this dynamic of, this is a very deep and messy situation, and it's kind of causing someone to step back and become a little bit detached with this Queen of Swords. And with the Queen of Swords in reversed, and that's speaking to, this person kind of not wanting to be hurt, not wanting to be seen for who they really are. It's this dynamic of, if you don't really know who I am, then you can't really hurt me. It's like the opposite of the wolf wearing sheep's clothing, right? It's like the wolf wears the sheep's clothing to, make friends with the sheep so that he can eat them. But in this aspect, I feel like this person is wearing wolf's clothing to look like a wolf, to fit in with the wolves when they're actually a sheep, so that they don't get eaten. Does that make sense? So when you're in these codependent dynamics, it's as a empath, it makes you more susceptible to narcissistic abuse, and as a narcissist, it kind of puts you in a situation to project onto other people your own wounding and hurt them instead of them hurting you. You've become detached and can't empathize with the fact that that what you're doing is hurting them, because you feel like, I'm gonna hurt them before they hurt me. And this comes from childhood wounding of being neglected. Maybe your mother wasn't present in your life as much as you would have liked them to, and maybe it's not even their fault. Maybe they were forced to work a lot and they weren't really present, and that could have caused you to kind of feel like you need to shut down and go within. It could also be an aspect of someone being too critical in your life. Maybe there's a feminine dynamic that is overly critical of you. Maybe they were overly critical of you growing up. Maybe it was even a father figure that was overcritical of you growing up, and it's followed you into your adulthood. And you have to be careful with that, because then you get into tendencies of people pleasing, which is also not good. So, oh my goodness, please have some compassion for me too, because I'm doing my best to channel this message for you guys today. But we also then have the Lovers in reverse, which also can speak to this detachment, this feeling of needing to go within and figure things out within yourself. And I think that Spirit is really calling us to have compassion for the people in our lives that are going through this dynamic, because you may be going through it in one aspect of it, but there may be someone else close to you that is also dealing with these dynamics in another aspect, and you kind of have to give them compassion as they're working through it, because these dynamics can often cause shame, and shame is not something that is going to help you heal. A feeling of shame is kind of counterproductive. Like, yeah, you should acknowledge it, but you should acknowledge it for judgment. You should be saying, okay, why am I feeling this way, so that I can fix it and make it better? How do I step out of this delusion or this illusion of separateness or detachment, right? Because we are all connected energetically, but there are certain boundaries that we have to maintain that help us to maintain self-respect, right? You can't let somebody just walk all over you, and you can't just walk all over somebody else. And sometimes we end up in these situations because we feel like, oh, well, that's just who I am. It's not who you are. It's an imbalance. It's you've gone too far one way or the other way on the spectrum, and it causes anxiety. It causes you to feel guilt and shame for how you've acted, for how you've allowed other people to treat you, how you've treated other people, depending on which side of the spectrum that you're on. And you may fluctuate, especially if you're trying to come into balance with it. Especially if you're in dynamics with a lot of people who are on the opposite side of the spectrum, and you're trying to fit in and not look like the odd man out. And when you start to get that realization that comes to light, it can cause a lot of regret. And hurt people, and that's what I'm seeing with this. I reread our text and it hurts. Yes, sometimes when we're triggered or we're not ready to realize those kinds of deep truths, or we feel like we're being threatened, we lash out in pain, in a self-defense kind of mechanism. Just have compassion for the people who do this, okay? Because they are still healing. They're still healing these wounds. So have compassion with them through that. So with that being said, like, a big download that I was given was this idea of guilty by association, okay? And it kind of led me to 1 Corinthians 15 in the Bible, verse 33 and 34 mostly. But what it says is, don't be deceived. Evil communication corrupts good manners or morals or something along those lines. But when you're in the presence of people that have a habit of these evil ways of communication, which I would say that would be like lying, cheating, talking bad about people, talking down about people, talking down to people, belittling people, acting like things that didn't happen, or things that happened didn't happen, that whole concept of like gaslighting and manipulation. When you're in dynamics in close proximity to where you're associated with people who do those things, sometimes it can cause you to lash out in a way of self-preservation. But once you become aware of that, then you can step back and realize the control that you have over yourself and in that situation, in that dynamic, and realize the unhealthy boundaries that you weren't maintaining and the associations that you were having that weren't true to your authentic self. Because I do believe that every single one of us has the capability to love and to be a being of love. Now, in verse 34, it talks about awakening to righteousness and, stepping away from your sin. And, Paul says, I speak this to your shame. And the way that I feel that to be interpreted is that he's not saying, I'm saying this so that you should be ashamed. He's saying this like, I know that you feel shame for the way that you have been acting because you've been in these dynamics. And he says evil communication, okay? Not evil people. You hate the sin and you love the person, okay? So people who are, they show these narcissistic dynamics or these unhealthy ways of communicating, they're not evil people. It's evil communication. It's something that's been learned in order to preserve their ego, to preserve their sense of survival and their root chakra. It's how they've learned. It's an unhealthy way of learning how to cope with what's happened to them. And it's everyone's responsibility to have that realization once they've awakened to that concept of love and unconditional love to step away from those dynamics that hurt the other. Okay? So, let's go into this reading and figure out what else Spirit may have to say on this subject matter. Whew. All right, Spirit. Why are we here? What message do you have for us today? Okay, I'm drawn to this deck. Okay, Spirit, what message do you have for my viewers today regarding guilty by association? What do my viewers need to know about being guilty by association? Okay. Give your relationship a chance. Work on your partnership. So what I'm feeling from this card is that no one's perfect. And there are going to be times when other people are going to trigger wounds that have come up within you. And as long as you are able to have compassion and work through those things, you can overcome anything. But you have to be willing to put in that work, because nobody can make you do that work. You'll have those opportunities to do that work, but it's within your free will whether or not you decide that you're going to or not. It says, pay attention to the red flags. The signs are cautioning you. Deception. Someone is wearing a false self mask in this relationship. And I think that is going back to that whole concept of the sheep in the wolf's clothing. You know, it's someone may be lashing out at you right now that is doing so out of a wounded space. They're not used to being so seen. They're used to walking amongst wolves, wearing wolves' clothing, and all the wolves thinking that he's just another wolf. But you're the only one that's gotten close enough to where you can see that it's a mask, and that's not really what they are and who they are as a person in their soul. And I think that, you know, this is also cautioning you to really be aware of the company that you're keeping if you are this person that is not wanting to reveal who you truly are to the people around you. Maybe these people need to be called out on the fact that they are wolves, and that you're not a wolf, and you're not afraid of what those wolves might do to you, because love is a very, very strong energy, and it overcomes so many things. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. Is it quiet? Let's see what we have here. Hermit. Introspection, spiritually wise, deep knowledge. So I do feel like at this time someone is on a spiritual journey. They're starting to see the light in this aspect. They're starting to learn how to remove the mask and be stronger within themselves, because they're actually getting this call for introspection, and some of them are listening to it. Some of them might not. They might still be fighting it, but I think that the call is really there, and they're seeing it. They're seeing the red flags in their life. They're seeing where things are not serving them in a loving way. All right, let's see what else we have here. When I was young, I used to have a Stairway to Heaven poster in my bedroom, and the guy on the poster always reminded me of the hermit. It's like he was just standing on the mountain with the lamp just lighting the way, and I think some of you guys are that light for some of these people who are coming to these awarenesses. I got the Lovers in reverse again, and okay, Queen of Swords again in reverse, and now we have the Emperor structure. So this spiritual knowledge that this person is coming across, it's allowing them to separate from the dynamics in their life that are causing them to fall into this really stressful dynamic. Stress is a killer, guys. I'm gonna tell you, something in the structure of their life is causing a lot of stress and heartache, and they could be being called all kinds of names, verbal abuse. This could be you. This could be you that's going through this. If this is you that's doing this, please reconsider your words, because they can be very harmful. And if you do feel like you're in a situation where you have to react this way, because I know sometimes people will push you to react this way. They will just want some kind of reaction out of you, so they just push you until you react. But when you become stronger within yourself, you learn that that's what they're doing. You learn that that's what they're after, and you can have more control over how you react to those situations. And once you really master that concept in your life, you're gonna kind of step more into this healed Emperor energy, where you are just not fazed by anyone. You're like, oh, you don't like me? Sucks to suck. I'm sorry that you feel that way. Have a good day. It's that kind of energy that I'm getting from these cards. It's someone is learning this. Someone is embodying this into their everyday reality. This may take some time, because this doesn't happen overnight, but have some patience with yourself, because like I said, the shame aspect of you falling back into those negative patterns is only going to hinder your growth. Focus on the healing aspect that you're doing, and be able to have self-accountability for those things. It's okay to admit that you were wrong. It's okay to admit that you did something wrong. You acted out of character. It's okay to apologize. What's not okay is to do these things and just continue spewing all of this negativity and hatred and bringing everyone else down around you just so that you can feel better about yourself. That's not okay. And I know that a lot of narcissists will feed off of getting their empath to react the way that they do. They will, like, as soon as the empath starts retaliating and spewing back the things that the narcissist has pretty much imposed on them out of their projections, they're happy. They're like, oh, why are you so upset? I don't understand. Why are you acting like this? And they try to make you feel like you're fucking crazy. Because they're fucking crazy. Okay? And it can be very confusing coming out of these dynamics, because it's hard when someone is telling you over and over again, that didn't happen. I don't remember that. I don't think that's how it happened. No, you're crazy. And then you're like, no, that's how it happened. I remember. I was fucking there. Right? So you can see how it can go back and forth. Someone can only be pushed into a corner so far before they start fighting back. And a lot of times, empaths will act out of character when they're pushed too far by their narcissistic counterparts. And then they feel guilty and they feel shame for acting that way. So, have some compassion for yourself. Have some compassion for others. But learn those strong boundaries. Because you don't deserve those dynamics. You don't deserve that kind of verbal abuse. You don't deserve someone telling you you're an asshole all the time. You just don't. Okay? Alright, let me see if there's a closing message that we got from my sun cards here. What else do my viewers need to know as we're leaving this reading? Okay, so we have elephant in the room, Cancer crab, Scorpio scorpion, Lion Leo. Alright, so what I get is Spirit's really encouraging you not to avoid the elephant in the room. I think this dynamic is something that is very noticeable, to say the least. This is a dynamic where when people are in the same room with these two people that are in this dynamic, like, they don't even want to fucking be in that room. They're just like, I don't even want to be around you guys. Like, this is just so toxic. I don't even want to be here. Okay? And I feel like there's a lot of emotions that are flying around. Someone may be really, like, I'm seeing the word crab and all I can think is crabby. Like, they're just at this point where they're like hanging by a thread. They're just ready to snap. They're just so done, at the end of their rope. They may snap at you just because you've been there. They may just feel safe with you, and that's another thing. Oh my goodness. So sometimes people will say, like, oh, your kid is so amazing, but like with you they're a little asshole, right? Because they feel safe with you. Sometimes when you feel the safest with somebody, you allow your emotions to come out towards that person because you know that they're safe. I'm not saying that it's right, but it has to come out somewhere. And if you can have the compassion that you have for your child in that, and just be like, listen, go to your room and calm down. We'll talk about this in a minute, you know? And then once they calm down, you can be like, hey, what's going on? Why'd you react like that to me? What's bothering you? Because some people haven't even gotten that in their parental relationships. They haven't had that sense of empathy or compassion. And it's kind of bringing me to tears because it's sad. It's sad that that's how some people are raised. but it's a truth. It's a very real truth. And then Scorpio, I'm seeing Scorpio season. So I feel like it's a deep spirituality. It's kind of, I feel like this is like, I'm getting Pluto energy from this. It is just like someone going in and really digging deep into their shadow self, which is a good thing, because when we're able to go in and rustle through our closets and find our skeletons and shed some light on them, maybe they can be buried in the backyard and actually be transmuted into something else, something beneficial. And I feel like someone is feeling very kind of, I don't want to say weak or defeated. They don't feel strength, but it's kind of aspect of that being pushed to the end of your line. You're at the end of your rope. And sometimes being at the end of your rope is where you learn the most about yourself. So another thing that I really got from that passage that I read today was the concept that in that chapter, Paul speaks about how the last real enemy is death. And he's talking about like how after Jesus was crucified and resurrected, people were saying people can't be resurrected from the dead. And he was arguing like, well, if you say that no one can be resurrected from the dead, how do you explain that Jesus was resurrected from the dead? Like, he has overcome death. And I think for me, it's on a more deep level. It's kind of more of a poetic thing of where people are dead in sin, right? It's kind of like you live in fear, and you're just kind of like, you're not living your true fullest life. You don't have any fulfillment. You have no sense of love for yourself, a true deep understanding of love for others. You feel like you're just very disconnected from everything, and that's how people go down this rabbit hole of feeling suicidal and that kind of thing. And there's something much beautiful on the other side of the spectrum, but sometimes it takes someone to be that light to show them that there is another way, because not everybody knows the ways of God, and God has overcome death. So you don't have to live in this dynamic, and I hope that I can be that light for you today. I would like to say that I am not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist. These are my own thoughts and feelings, and this reading is for entertainment purposes only. I do hope that it has helped you today in some way. If some of these concepts have really stood out to you, I would suggest maybe researching these topics a little bit further to get some more clarity. If you do feel like you need to reach out to a therapist, I do think that would be beneficial for you as well, if you feel like that could help you. I may try to leave some resources down in the comment section for you guys to review, some things that I think you may find helpful through this transition. But I would like to thank every one of you for your time today. And I hope that you like, share, subscribe, and I will hopefully see you next time. Have a great day.